take a moment and just allow yourself to pull the awareness, the attention, the intention inwards. Just allow yourself to unhook that awareness from the constant change in the world around you, from the constant moving in the world outside. Unhook that awareness from the movement and allow yourself to draw it inward into that place within you that is still. That place which is unchanging. That place within you that is infinite and expansive. Just allow the awareness to pull inward. Meditation is not about shutting down the outside world. It's about finding the inner world. Finding that place of stillness amidst the movement. If your mind wanders or you get distracted, don't worry, just gently and lovingly bring it back to the self. You can use your breath as a beautiful anchor. Just allow the awareness to pull into the breath. And you're not trying to change the breath. You're just using the subtle flow as an anchor for your awareness. You can add a gentle mantra with it if you like. The mantra is very simple. It's so hum. It means I am that. I am one with the Creator. I am one with the creation. I am one with all that is. I am the universe. And so just very gently as you inhale, as that sacred prana fills the being, just allow yourself ever so gently to to just chant so. On the inhalations, and hum. On the exhalations, so on the inhalations, hum on the exhalations. As you just keep drawing the awareness inward and inward and inward. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level in Namaste. And just gently rub the palms of your hands against each other. And press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly lower the hands and open the eyes. Welcome. Welcome to Satsang. Starting as always, with a question that's come from our family, not physically present with us, but joining us online. Then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. How can I navigate overpowering emotions of regret and frustration and break free from the feeling of being trapped in a relentless cycle, seemingly making no progress toward what truly fulfills me? This is asked by Rosanna from Australia. So how to navigate overpowering emotions of regret and frustration and break free from being trapped in a relentless cycle. That's why we have spiritual practice. It's why we have introspection. It's why we have learning. You know, the how of it is actually given to us so beautifully. I mean, she didn't say, how do I recognize and realize the truth of who I am? How do I attain moksha while living? And yet, the answers for her are exactly the same answers that Bhagavan Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. If you look at the paths of yoga that he describes, Jnana Yoga, path of wisdom, of introspection, of contemplation, of learning and experiencing scriptural truths? Well, it's Gyan that teaches us. I am not the body. I'm not my career. I mean, otherwise, what is it that's frustrating? Right? What is it that causes regret and frustration? Just different aspects about our human experience. Regret and frustration are anchored 100% into human body karmic journey experience. Oh my God, I regret so much that I spoke harshly to this person who I really loved. I regret so much that I didn't take my doctor's advice and start exercising and eating well. I regret so much that I spent all my time and energy trying to make money and I didn't spend it on family, on spiritual practice, on things that were more deeply meaningful. Regret is all anchored into what you did or didn't do. That's why we regret. It's an action. An action done by the body, decided upon by my mind, and whatever seemed best at the moment. Now I regret. So Gyan is that which helps you prevent future situations of regret. Because most of what we regret is stuff that later on we say, oh my God, that wasn't me. Well, of course it was you. Otherwise, who was it? Right? It wasn't that you have, rent a body, Airbnb, but for your body. It's not like you rented out your body to somebody else for a week who came in and did really stupid things, and now you're feeling badly. Of course it was you. When we say that wasn't me, it means it was not the highest me. It was not the me I'm proud of. It was not the me when I'm conscious and anchored in truth. So Gyan Yoga, a path of wisdom, is something that prevents us from having to have regrets. Keeps us conscious, mindful, present, there, making right decisions in alignment with dharma, truth, all of this. So, Gyan, bhakti, devotion, love. You never do anything in real love that you later regret. Lust leads to all kinds of regrets. But love, that expansive love that we have when we are loving the divine, whether we're loving the divine in the form of Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Ram, Shankar Bhagwan, the Mother Goddess, or in the form of another human being, in the form of a tree in our backyard. If that love is real love, anchored in essence and soul and spirit, you'll have no regrets, you'll have no frustrations. And both of these things will also pull you out of that, as she says, relentless cycle. It's that hamster on the treadmill that so many of us feel. Like, I'm running really hard. I don't nap. I don't rest. I never stop in the day. And yet, somehow, I'm not actually fulfilling the things that I want to be fulfilling. I'm busy from the minute I wake up in the morning till the minute I go to sleep at night. And yet, somehow, all of these higher goals that I have are left unfulfilled. And I feel like this hamster just going round and round and round. Well, this is because we are living our life without wisdom, without presence, without consciousness, without love, or at least without being anchored in love, and without karma yoga, which is that ability to use our actions actually to bring us into union. Otherwise, what we are is we're just reacting. All day long, we just react. Somebody says something, we react. Our device beeps or it buzzes or blings, some light comes, whatever it might be. And we react. We pick it up, we look at it. We've gotten very, very, very reactive and distractible. The human mind has always been like that. It's a monkey mind, long before we had smartphones. But what these devices have done is further decreased our ability to withstand distraction. I see it in satsang every night. Here we are. You look around, everybody is very attentive. And then somebody will unzip their purse. Maybe they want a cough drop. Who knows? They'll just unzip their purse. And suddenly 100 heads go, like you've never heard a purse unzip. Somebody will cough. Somebody's phone accidentally will ring. Something will happen, a tiny minor thing, we know exactly what it is. 2/3 of the heads, doesn't matter what's going on in satsang, 2/3 of the heads will go. We've lost our ability to actually be present with where we are. Everything that happens in our world pulls that attention, pulls the awareness. So it's the device. Some email comes, some message comes, some call comes. And we end up reacting. So we're busy all day long. But that busyness leads to regret. It leads to frustration. And it leads to this cycle of being busy, but not actually getting any closer to our goals. And once again, the teachings that Bhagavan Krishna gave us 5,000 plus years ago on a battlefield turn out to be exactly the teachings that we need to navigate our lives, to navigate that which we are living. We use our path of Jnana Yoga to remember, I'm not the body. I'm not the body. And if I'm not the body, it means I don't have to react to this thing. Right? It's a good mantra. For anybody who doesn't yet have a mantra they chant, I am not my social media account. Really, I am not. I am not my handle. Meaning, whatever somebody has commented or liked is not actually about me. It's not me. I'm not saying don't do it. By all means do it. No problem. But it means when there is a notification, there's a reaction, a like, a dislike, a comment, or you got totally ignored, nobody noticed you posted. You don't have to react. It's not you. It's just a thing. It's just happening. It's like somebody unzips a purse. No need to react. It's just a thing there in the universe. But we come back with Gyan to who I am, who I am, who I am. And we keep re-anchoring ourselves in love, but bigger and bigger love. If you don't yet love God, don't worry. Love anyone. Start anywhere. Love anyone. But make sure that what you love is essence, soul, spirit, rather than just the body. And if you're loving soul, spirit, essence, you're loving God. And then just let that love get bigger and bigger. And the bigger and bigger that love gets, the more and more present and conscious and mindful you are in life. Because love feels good. We want to be present with it. The times that we are absent-minded is when we're not here in the moment. But when you first fall in love, everybody's right there. Nobody says, I'm all distracted. When you fall in love, you are right there all the time. So fall in love with the divine, with the universe, with creation. And then just keep asking yourself every moment, is what I'm doing, is this action, this karma, is it yoga? And I don't mean are you doing it standing on your head or twisted into a pretzel, but I mean, are you doing it in union? Is the action arising out of an awareness of union? Or is it bringing you or our planet into a greater experience of union? And if not, don't do it. Use your buddhi, use your intellect. We've got the power. We're not actually slaves to our mind. We just act like we are. This is where the power of intellect, the power of sadhana comes in. So our sister Rosanna, there's so much you can do. So much you can do. But just take back that veto power, as Pujya Swamiji says, over your life. Beautiful. Other questions? Any question that anyone here has? Yes. There's a microphone right there on your side. Come.
Hello. Namaste. Ji.
Namaste.
My question is, how can you handle rejection from someone you love? Thank you.
Rejection from someone you love. So, the voice of rejection in our minds after the loved one has rejected us. They've used whatever words they use, but then our inner voice says, you are worthless. You don't deserve love. You'll never find love. You're not good enough. There's no hope. No one will ever love you. You're a failure at everything. Right? This is what in Buddhism they speak about as the second arrow. So the first arrow is what the universe throws at us. And it can be anything ranging from falling and twisting your ankle, to getting fired from your job, to getting sick, to being rejected, to being insulted. That's the first arrow. The second arrow is the inner voice that tells us a story about the first arrow. And the story that we tell ourselves about rejection is that it's about us. We must be not worthy of love, acceptance, partnership, happiness. And we tell ourselves this story based on someone else's karmic package. And that's where the problem comes in. So the handling of the rejection is stopping the second arrow. People do things for all kinds of reasons. Fear, confusion, insecurity, desires, expectations, attachments, ignorance, illusion, all kinds of reasons make people do things. But we interpret it all as about us. Even the situation of, I fall and I twist my ankle. Okay, it hurts. That's the first arrow. The second arrow says, oh my God, always me. Like, it is so unfair. Now I'm going to miss the interview for the job because now I have to go to the hospital and get my ankle x-rayed and bandaged. Now I'm not going to get the job that I need. Now I know it's going to go to that other person. I will never make enough money to put myself back through school. I'm never going to get to be the person I want to be. See, all that happened is I twisted my ankle. But you see where I've gone in my mind? And rejection gives us great fodder for that because, hey, look, I've actually been rejected. We've got to realize it's not about us. Yes, karmically, of course, there is something for us to learn in this as well, or we wouldn't be in this situation. We're given only that is actually the most conducive situation for us to take our next step closer to realization. That's why we have the situations we have. It's how the law of karma works. Yes, it's stimulus, response, action, reaction, that whole thing. But it's not just a simple linear, I do this, so I got that. It's a law with an ultimate higher agenda. And the higher agenda of the law of karma is that eventually we wake up. That eventually we realize, experientially, that we are not the body, that we are soul, that we are one with the divine. That's what yoga is. That union of individual self, jivatma, with the divine, paramatma. That's the actual, if you say karma has an agenda, it's not to make you miserable, I promise. Although for some of us, sometimes it feels like that. The only agenda that the law of karma has is that you peel back ignorance and awaken into realization. So you're given the situations that, yes, are the fruits of actions from the past, but also those that are the most conducive for you to take your next step. So in rejection, one part says, this is not about me, this is about him or about her. This is their karmic package. For whatever reason, they could not be loyal, be committed, be patient, be compassionate, be nonviolent, be vulnerable, be open, be available, be trusting. For whatever reason in their karmic package, they did not have that tool in their toolbox. And the second part is, okay, God, what am I supposed to learn here? What's the step I am supposed to take? And around rejection, most frequently, the step is, I didn't actually need the comfort of that person in my life to be whole and full and complete and strong. I actually have that within me. A lot of us get very, very dependent upon relationships for our very identity, for our very sense of comfort in our human existence. And we start to doubt that we could actually exist without the other person, without the relationship as it is. And in a lot of cases, the teaching around rejection is, okay, I'm still here. I'm still whole, I'm still full, I'm still complete, I am still here. My heart aches. My mind is having a bit of a field day in terms of the internal critic, but we're working through that. And I'm still here. I have not exploded or imploded or ceased to exist in some fundamental way. I'm still here. And so you notice as that second arrow comes, you just notice it. Hi, second arrow. Hi, second arrow. No, we're not going to go there today. And you don't take on someone else's karmic package. Their toolbox did not have loyalty, honesty, vulnerability, availability, etc. But yours does. So don't sacrifice your peace, your joy, your truth, your awareness on the altar of someone else's empty toolbox. You've got a much higher purpose. Beautiful. Yeah. Other questions? Yes. Sorry, the lights only go this way, so it's hard to see in the dark in the back. Yes.
Hello. Hi. I have, again, question quite similar nature. So let's say you work on yourself hard and you manage to get a lot of different things opening for yourself, and then you see your relatives, which you love.
Yes.
And you see that they have all the different things that you spend so much time working on, and they're complaining about their life, they're unhappy and so on, and you're trying to offer some help, you're explaining different things, and they're still complaining, and they still do nothing. And then you first get angry with them, because you have all those tools, use it, be happy. And then you're angry for yourself. How I can tell them better so they can be motivated to use it. So what to do? What to do in this situation? Thanks.
So the first piece is a general rule of thumb that has served me very, very well and has served very well everyone I've given this advice to, which is until and unless someone bows at your feet and makes you their guru, or pops out of your womb, or says to you, could you please tell me how to run my life better? If they're not in one of those three categories, do not try to tell people how to run their lives better. They're not going to follow you. And all it's going to do is create conflict. If someone sees in you someone they want advice from, they will ask it. They will ask it sincerely. And it's hard because especially when you've done work and you have actually begun to really find some healing, some freedom, some real joy, you want to share. But people don't want to hear. I remember in my college dorm, my very first year at Stanford, I was raised in a Jewish family. And in my hall, 4 or 5 doors down, was a woman who became one of my best friends. Her name was Laura. And she was a devout Christian. Now, we were 18. I was not religious at all. Not at all. She was very religious. And she would run Bible study in her room, and she kept trying to get me to come for Bible study. Now, I wasn't even a practicing Jew. The last thing I was going to do was become a practicing Christian. But she kept trying to get me to come for Bible study. I mean, freshman year in college, who was thinking about, the Bible? But she was. And she was trying to get me to come, and she was so pure in her intention. I mean, we were just great friends. But I said to her at one point, I said, Laura, just let it go. I'm never going to be interested in coming for Bible study. Just let it go. We have so much else in common. Let's just talk about other things. And stop trying to get me to subscribe to this belief. And she said something that has stuck with me now for the last almost 35 years. And she said, if I had a cure for cancer and you were dying of cancer, what kind of friend would I be if I didn't try to make you adapt my cure? And I realized, now this was of course about religion, but I mention it here because when we have deep, powerful spiritual experiences, even if they're not in a specific religion per se, we have that feeling of we have found an answer. And it works so well for us. And we want so much to share. And the truth is, I would have been benefited so deeply and so greatly if I had actually listened to her. But I was at a completely different time of my life. There was no way I was open to religion of any kind. It wasn't until 7 years later, when I came to India, that I actually was at a place in my life that was open to the presence of God. You have had powerful teachings and experiences and healing and truth. You want to share that with your family members, but they don't want to hear it. They're at different places, on different paths. And even if you can see them suffering, as I'm sure Laura could see me suffering at that age, going through what I was going through, there was no way that I was going to respond in any way other than frustration and annoyance. And this is what we have with family members and friends to whom we try to push onto a path that isn't the right time. In Sanatan Dharma, we speak a lot about what we call the muhurt. It's an auspicious time. The puja you're going to do, the new work you're going to start, they're all wonderful projects. But everybody always wants to know, what is the muhurt? What's the auspicious time? Well, you think, really? You're going to build an orphanage, you're going to build a school, you're going to build a hospital, you're going to get married. Like, the sooner the better. It's all auspicious. But we actually believe that that's not true. That there's certain times that are more auspicious. And everybody's going to come to the truth at the right time that's right for them. So along the way, unless someone falls in those 3 categories, don't beat your head against the wall. It's just going to frustrate you. It's not going to help them. And it's going to drive you farther and farther apart. Instead, live that light. The truth is a magnet. Real truth, real healing is a magnet. And if you can actually live that truth, they will start to come to you. This is what I saw with my parents. I was not raised in a religious or spiritual family. In the beginning, my mother particularly was very against me being here. But Pujya Swamiji taught me, don't try to shove this down their throat. Don't try to convince them. Don't try to give them an experience of what you've had. It's not going to work. It's just going to make them think more and more that you've been brainwashed, that you've joined a cult, that you've gone crazy, all of the things that, Western people would think about their daughter suddenly joining an ashram. People who have not had an experience like this. He said, just live your truth. That's it. Just live it. Don't teach it. Don't try to explain it. Just live it. And slowly, 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 that truth is a magnet. And it will draw people. People will feel it. So when you are back with your family, just live the truth. live the love, live the healing. People are suffering. They are going to come to you. They're going to say, hey, God. I'll never forget the day my mom said to me, you know, just being with you, I feel so serene. And that was her way of articulating that there was something different. And it was just a felt sense experience that suddenly she noticed, wow, and that was the shift. But if you go in and you're all crazy and trying to, beat your head against the wall to make them understand that they're being crazy and stop complaining for God's sakes, then you also don't have the tools. You're not showing them. What's the benefit of what you're trying to teach them? If you lose yourself just as much as they're losing themselves, then you're not being very good marketing for a spiritual path. Right? I mean, not that it's conscious marketing, but the truth is, if you're a yoga teacher or a meditation teacher or a representative of dharma in any way, or you're a meditator, whatever you may be, if it's anything mildly connected to a spiritual path, you've actually got a responsibility. Not just for your own dharma, but that you represent dharma. And this is why, again, whether it's just a simple yoga teacher or a simple meditation teacher or a simple Sanskrit teacher or any representative of dharma in any way, we want people to follow dharma. You want people to start meditating. You want people to do yoga. You want people to adopt a spiritual path because we know how beneficial it is. But if I look like I'm crazy trying to convince you to adopt a spiritual path, then I'm not doing a very good marketing job. So just remember that when you go back, that you're not only trying to convince them, but you're actually a representative of what you're trying to teach. Beautiful. Then we'll take yours and see if we can answer them together.
Thank you, Sadhviji.
Sure.
So I just have a question similar to her, but exactly opposite of hers.
Okay.
So everyone's trying to, every other person in the family is trying to tell me to behave or act in a certain way.
To be more?
To behave or act in a certain way.
Got it.
But they don't really understand what I'm going through or what my family situation is. So it's exactly like
the opposite yes.
She's going through. And I can't explain them because they haven't gone through those things.
Sure.
So
I understand. I want to just, before I answer, take his question and see if I can weave them both into one answer. Yeah, of course.
I am a student and I am preparing.
I'm so sorry, can you start again?
Ma'am, I am a student. I am preparing from last 6 years of competitive exam. But these competitive exams, frankly, I didn't clear. Like IIT JEE. And I am now preparing for UPSC. But this also exam, I have given the 2 attempts, but I am unsuccessful. And this unsuccessful of 4 to 5 years, this turned into be in depression from last 6 or 5 months. And these things can't understand by my family. And even if I used to tell to them, I think they will get very depressed. I have invested such money for.
I understand. Okay. So, pressure of the family, whether it's to be a certain way, act a certain way, verbally they're telling him be different, act different, choose different, or whether it's more of an implicit pressure. He hasn't cleared his exams now for so many years, knowing that that family is going to be so depressed, so disappointed in him if he doesn't clear. So it's so important to realize that we each are here with our own individual dharma. So when we speak about dharma, usually people talk about one dharma. So we'll say, right, Arjun's dharma was to fight the war. But he also had a dharma as a brother, as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a king later on. Even with that dharma that he had for the 18 days of the war, which was to fight the war, it wasn't that that was his only dharma for his entire life. So in our lives, first of all, we have lots of different dharmas that we go through, different times of life, different relationships in life. We've got what you think of as universal dharma, as in be caring, be compassionate, have integrity, right? You could look at the yam and niyam of Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga and kind of say, okay, these are kind of the 10 commandments of a dharmic life. And there's other lists. There's a lot of different lists one could give. But they all encompass things like be loving, be caring, be compassionate, be generous, be on a spiritual path, all of these things. But then we've got individual dharma. And that's critical because we are not cookie cutters of each other. And just because everybody in my family is a And just because everybody in my family is a doctor or is an engineer, that doesn't mean that that's what I'm meant to be. Just because everybody in my family is great at math, doesn't mean I am. Just because everybody in my family is a writer, well, maybe I'm dyslexic. Not my dharma then. It's really important, and this is really important not just for us to know, but for families to know. You have not given birth to cookies that all should come out exactly the same. We're all coming into this human incarnation with a seed. If I'm an apple seed, the very best I'm going to become is an apple tree, and the very best I'm going to produce are apples. And if as my family, you really wanted oranges, or everybody else is oranges, and so you kind of surround me with orange vibrations and orange pressure, and everybody says, look at us, look at it, be like this. It's never going to work. You're never going to get oranges out of an apple seed. And all you're going to do is scare away the apples. And so as families, as parents, as grandparents, as aunts, as uncles, as mentors, as teachers, as friends, our responsibility is to try to see the unique dharma in everyone. And not to have some preconceived notion that just because someone else in your family or someone they've read about or some neighbor's kid has cleared this exam, that therefore you should also be able to too. It's not like that. We all have different skills, different abilities, different inclinations, different purposes here. And to make someone feel badly or to try to pressure them to conform, it's not for them. And this is where, as families, we have the opportunity, or rather I would say the need, to do our own spiritual practice. And the young man who asked the first question, you've got a very unique opportunity here, and it's not easy. The opportunity is to force your family to do their spiritual work. Well, if they were doing it, if they were really doing it, they wouldn't actually force you to live a different dharma. I don't mean spiritual work as in the pujas and the prayers. I mean, but not your thoughts. For their thoughts are their own. You can strive to be like them, but strive not to make them like you. Because time only moves forward. What I mean by spiritual work is the real deep work that says, I had an agenda. The agenda was that my son, my daughter was going to be like this, and they are not. And now I need to open, to accept, to love, to cherish and celebrate who they are as that apple tree, and stop shouting about oranges. That's the work I mean. And sometimes our role is not easy, because sometimes people don't want to do that work, and it's so much easier to just make you conform than to have to look at our agenda, our attachments, our expectations, our misconceptions. But that isn't actually the highest spiritual work. And with you in the exams, again from the Bhagavad Gita, this core teaching. You do your best. You do it fully, with sincerity, with dedication, with all you've got. But the results are not in your hands. And if at the end of the day, after numerous attempts, it's not happening, at some point you might decide, okay, maybe my dharma is something else. That's all right. Because, that's what I'm saying. It's wrong with you. Feel that it's wrong with you because in your mind you want it to be something else, and that they should not get disappointed and depressed. At some point, keep pushing now. Keep striving. Keep telling yourself, I can do it. Get better tutors. Do things in different ways. Get mentors. Read books. Absolutely. And because I'm not sure when I get to see you again. And allow yourself to be open enough to what we would call God's will, or your own karmic journey, that there may come a time at which point you realize, you know what? Actually, this is not my path, this is my path. And allow yourself to have the openness and the courage to take a turn in a direction that might be more in alignment with actually what you're here for. Don't do it yet. Keep pushing yourself a little bit longer. You've got an exam coming up. Do your very best. Use all of your resources. Get as much help as you can. But also be open to the fact that the very nature of who you are is not dependent upon you achieving, acquiring, attaining, or succeeding in some very specific way that you've deemed what you're supposed to do. Based on your mind, based on culture, based on family, whatever it may be. Allow yourself to really be open to whatever your unique dharma might be. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. We will not be having satsang for the next 2 weeks. I am so sorry about this, but I will actually be out of town and will miss Mother Ganga and our gatherings very, very deeply, but I will be back on the 15th of April. So we will be starting satsang again either on the 15th evening or the 16th evening. There will be, I'm not sure what time my flight gets back on the 15th, so there will be signs up in the reception area around the ashram and also on our social media pages letting you know which night it's going to be starting again. So I hope that you are blessed enough to be able to stay back in Rishikesh for the next 2 weeks. Those of you who have to go, I hope you're blessed to be able to come back again very, very soon to the banks of Ganga. And if it's going to be a while, feel free, of course, to join our online audience and our online family and join with us through the gift of technology till you can come back and be here in person. And so